The phone chimed with a notification just as Finn Porter balanced on his weathered ladder, struggling to fix a leak in his apartment ceiling. Another message from his landlord about the late rent. With a sigh, he climbed down and checked his phone, surprised to find it wasn't his landlord but a message from his neighbor instead. "Hey, emergency trip out of town. My plants need watering. Spare key under the cactus pot by my door. Once every 3 days. We'll pay $100 when I return. Please." Finn ran a hand through his dark hair, glancing at his sleeping 7-year-old daughter, Lily, curled up on their worn sofa. $100 would cover groceries for the week, maybe even help with Lily's school supplies. He quickly typed back, "Sure, no problem." He hadn't spoken much with the woman in 4B since she moved in 3 months ago. He'd seen her a few times in the hallway tall, always impeccably dressed, usually talking rapidly into her phone. Zara Blackburn, he thought her name was. She'd smiled at Lily once, commented on her drawings. That was about it. "Daddy, is the ceiling fixed?" Lily mumbled, sitting up and rubbing her eyes. "Not yet, sweetheart, but I've got a little job that might help us get those colored pencils you wanted for school." Finn smiled at his daughter, trying to mask the worry that had become his constant companion since losing his construction job 6 months ago. Since Emily had died 3 years ago, it had just been the two of them, and he'd promised himself he would give Lily everything she needed, even if it meant taking odd jobs and pinching pennies. "Can I help with the job?" Lily's eyes brightened, always eager to assist her father. "It's just watering some plants for Miss Blackburn in 4B, nothing exciting." "I love her plants. She has a big one with purple flowers by her window." The next morning, after dropping Lily at summer day camp, a scholarship program he'd been grateful to find, Finn retrieved the key from under the terracotta pot. He hesitated before unlocking the door, feeling strange entering someone else's space without them present. The apartment layout mirrored his own, but everything else was entirely different. Where his furniture was mismatched and well-worn, hers was sleek and modern. While his walls remained bare except for Lily's artwork, hers featured striking abstract paintings. And then there were the plants, dozens of them. Hanging from macrame holders, sitting on shelves, dominating the window sills, far more than he'd expected. A handwritten note sat on the kitchen counter. "Thanks for helping. Water guide on back in 2 weeks. Z." Finn turned the note over and found detailed care instructions for each plant, some requiring more water than others, some needing to be misted, some moved between sun and shade. This was more involved than he'd anticipated, but a deal was a deal, and he needed the money. As he began the careful process of watering each plant according to its specific needs, he noticed the photographs scattered around the apartment. Zara with groups of people in business attire, Zara shaking hands with recognizable politicians, Zara standing behind a podium with a company logo he didn't recognize. She clearly wasn't just some office worker as he'd assumed. The refrigerator held nothing but sparkling water, kale, and takeout containers. On the counter sat a high-end coffee machine that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. The bookshelf contained business strategy books, biographies of successful entrepreneurs, and surprisingly, a worn collection of poetry. By the time he finished with all the plants, an hour had passed. As he locked up, he found himself strangely curious about the woman in 4B. "How are the plants, Daddy?" Lily asked when he picked her up from camp. "Lots of them, more than I expected." "Can I come next time, please?" He hesitated. "Maybe, if you're careful." 3 days later, with Lily beside him, Finn returned to water the plants. His daughter moved through the apartment with careful steps, eyes wide with wonder. "She has so many nice things," Lily whispered, as if afraid Zara might hear her from wherever she was. "She does. Don't touch anything except the watering can, okay?" While Finn attended to the larger plants, Lily helped with the smaller ones, carefully following his instructions. As she watered a small succulent, she noticed a photograph partially hidden behind a stack of magazines. "Daddy, look, Miss Blackburn is on a magazine. Finn came over and picked up the business magazine. There on the cover stood Zara Blackburn, arms crossed confidently, with the headline, "Rising Star, How Zara Blackburn's Green Tech Startup Became a Billion-Dollar Company in 5 Years. She's famous, Daddy." Finn stared at the image, then quickly set the magazine down where he'd found it. "Looks like it. But remember, we're just here to water her plants." As the days passed, Finn found himself increasingly intrigued by his absent neighbor. During each visit, he noticed new details: a prestigious university diploma hanging in her home office, awards for business innovation, a calendar filled with international meeting locations. One evening, while watering a particularly finicky orchid, Finn accidentally knocked over a stack of mail. As he gathered the scattered envelopes, he noticed they were addressed to Zara Blackburn, CEO, Ecosphere Technologies. A quick internet search on his phone confirmed what the magazine had suggested. Zara wasn't just successful, she was extraordinary. A 32-year-old who had built a green technology empire from a college project. Articles described her as brilliant, demanding, and intensely private. He felt suddenly self-conscious about being in her space. What would someone like her think of someone like him, a struggling single dad who couldn't even fix his own ceiling properly? On the 10th day of plant sitting, disaster struck. Finn arrived to find one of the largest plants, something Zara's note identified as a prized monstera, looking wilted and yellow. Despite following the instructions precisely, it was clearly dying. "No, no, no," he muttered, checking the soil, the position, everything he could think of. He couldn't afford to replace it, and from the care instructions, he gathered it was valuable. Desperate, he called the only person he knew with a green thumb, his sister-in-law, Fiona. "It sounds like root rot," she diagnosed after he described the symptoms. "You're going to need to repot it, remove the affected roots, and use fresh soil." "I can't just buy a new one." "Finn, a mature monstera like that could cost hundreds. Try to save it first." With Lily at a playdate, Finn spent his entire afternoon carefully removing the plant, trimming away the rotted roots as Fiona directed via video call, and replanting it in fresh soil he purchased with his last $20. He set it in the perfect spot according to Fiona's instructions and hoped for the best. The next day, he brought Lily along to check on the patient. "Is the plant going to be okay, Daddy?" she asked, peering at the still droopy leaves. "I hope so, sweetheart." While watering the other plants, Lily wandered into Zara's home office, despite Finn's instruction to stay in the living room. "Lily, come back. Daddy, look. She has the same picture book we do." Finn followed his daughter's pointing finger to a bookshelf where, incongruously shelved between economic theory tomes, sat a worn copy of The Giving Tree. "That was Mom's favorite," Lily said softly. Finn swallowed hard. "Yes, it was. Maybe Miss Blackburn's mom read it to her too. Maybe." Finn gently guided Lily back to the living area, but found himself glancing back at the book, this unexpected connection to the mysterious CEO. 2 days later, the monstera showed signs of improvement, its leaves perking up slightly. Finn felt unreasonably proud. The next day would be Zara's return, and he found himself nervously anticipating her reaction to his emergency plant surgery. When his phone rang that evening, Finn was helping Lily with a puzzle. The caller ID showed an unknown number. "Hello. Hi, is this Finn Porter?" "This is Zara Blackburn from 4B. Her voice was lower than he remembered, with a hint of exhaustion. "Yes, hi, are you back?" He tried to sound casual, though his heart inexplicably beat faster. "Just landed. Listen, my schedule got extended by a week." "I hate to ask, but could you possibly continue with the plants? I'll double the payment, of course." "Sure, no problem," he said, too quickly. "Everything's going fine." There was a pause. "Really, even the monstera, it can be temperamental." Finn hesitated. "Well, it had a bit of trouble." "I had to repot it. You repotted my monstera?" Her tone sharpened. "It had root rot." My sister-in-law talked me through it. It's actually looking better now. I'll come by tonight to check. What time do you get home? Finn glanced at Lily, who was watching him curiously. We're home now, but I'll be there in 20 minutes. The line went dead before he could respond. Who was that, Daddy? Lily asked. Miss Blackburn is coming to check on her plant. Let's tidy up a bit. 18 minutes later, a knock came at their door. Finn opened it to find Zara Blackburn looking nothing like the polished businesswoman he'd seen in photographs. She wore jeans and a simple t-shirt, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, face bare of makeup, eyes shadowed with fatigue. Hi, she said, extending her hand. Sorry to intrude. I'm a bit obsessive about my plants. No problem, I understand. He shook her hand, noticing how her professional composure remained intact despite her casual appearance. This is my daughter, Lily. Lily peeked around his leg. Hi, Miss Blackburn, your plants are pretty. Something in Zara's face softened. Thank you for helping your dad take care of them. The purple flower one is my favorite. The orchid, mine too. Zara smiled, then returned her attention to Finn. About the monstera, I can show you pictures of what happened and what I did. I didn't want to bother you during your trip. As Finn pulled out his phone to show her the plant's progress, a loud drip interrupted them. Water leaked from their ceiling, landing squarely on the coffee table. Sorry about that, Finn said, grabbing a bowl to catch the drips. The landlord keeps promising to fix it. Zara glanced up at the water stain. How long has it been leaking? A couple weeks. I've tried patching it myself, but there's a problem with the pipe above. She frowned. That's unacceptable. Anyway, the plant photos. Finn showed her the pictures of the ailing monstera and his repotting process. As she swiped through them, her expression changed from concern to surprise. This is actually the right approach. Most people would have overwatered it more and killed it completely. My sister-in-law is good with plants, he admitted. Well, I'd still like to see it. Do you mind if we go over now? After Finn grabbed his keys, the three of them walked to Zara's apartment. Inside, she immediately went to the monstera, examining it with careful hands. It's definitely improving, she said with clear relief. Thank you for saving it. It was a gift from my grandmother before she passed. I'm glad it worked out. As Zara checked on her other plants, Lily wandered to the bookshelf, pointing excitedly. Miss Blackburn, you have the giving tree just like us. Zara looked up, her expression softening again. It was my favorite as a child. It was my mom's favorite too, Lily said, but she's in heaven now. A moment of silence filled the room. Finn put his hand on Lily's shoulder, giving it a gentle squeeze. I'm sorry to hear that, Zara said quietly. Then, with a slight hesitation, my dad used to read it to me every night. He passed away when I was in college. The unexpected personal disclosure hung in the air between them. Anyway, Zara continued briskly, everything looks great. Thank you again. Let me get your payment. No rush, Finn said. Since you'll be away another week, we can settle up when you're back for good. She studied him for a moment. That leak in your ceiling needs to be fixed. It could cause mold, which isn't safe for Lily. I know. I've called the landlord 5 times. Give me his number. Finn raised his eyebrows but provided the number. To his astonishment, Zara immediately called, introduced herself as Zara Blackburn, CEO of Ecosphere Technologies, and proceeded to explain in exceedingly polite yet unmistakably threatening terms why the leak needed immediate attention. After hanging up, she smiled triumphantly. He'll have someone there tomorrow morning at 9. Thank you, Finn said, genuinely impressed. That was effective. One of the few perks of the job. People suddenly listen when they think you can afford expensive lawyers. She seemed to study him more carefully. You never mentioned what you do, Finn. Currently, I'm between jobs. I was in construction management until the company downsized. I'm picking up handyman work while I look for something permanent. Construction management? What kind of projects? Commercial mostly. My last big project was the renovations on the West Side Medical Center. Something flickered in her eyes. Interesting. Listen, would you and Lily like to join me for dinner? I just got back and have no food in my place, but I owe you for the plant rescue. The invitation surprised him. You don't owe us anything. Please, I insist. There's a good pizza place around the corner. Lily tugged at his hand. Pizza, Daddy, please. Looking at his daughter's hopeful face, Finn nodded. Pizza sounds great. At the restaurant, Zara ordered a large pizza and salad. While they waited, she asked Lily about school and her favorite subjects. Finn watched with interest as the commanding CEO he'd read about transformed into someone who could discuss second-grade art projects with genuine interest. So what kept you on your trip longer? Finn asked when Lily became distracted by the restaurant's coloring sheet. Complications with a new office building were constructing in Seattle. The contractor missed deadlines, then tried to cut corners on materials. I had to fire them and find a replacement. That sounds frustrating. She sighed. The worst part is the wasted time. We're trying to create energy-efficient buildings that are still affordable, but every delay costs money, which drives up the final price. What kind of energy efficiency features? As Zara explained her company's innovations, Finn found himself not only following along, but offering suggestions based on his construction experience. Their conversation flowed easily, interrupted only when the pizza arrived and Lily demanded attention. You know a lot about this, Zara commented after he explained a more cost-effective approach to her Seattle problem. I've worked on some LEED certified projects. It's an interesting field. Have you considered specializing in green construction? It's a growing area. I'd love to, but the certification courses are expensive and with Lily. He shrugged. As they walked back to their building after dinner, Lily skipped ahead and Zara turned to Finn. I meant to ask, how do you manage childcare with irregular work hours? It's challenging. Summer is easier with day camps, but during the school year, I try to schedule jobs around her school hours. My sister-in-law helps when she can. No other family nearby. No, Emily's parents are in Arizona and mine are both gone. What about your family? Just my mom in Chicago. We're not particularly close. She hesitated. After my dad died, things were difficult. She wanted me to take a safe corporate job, but I was determined to build my own company. Well, you certainly succeeded. A small smile played at her lips. Yes, but it's taken everything. My entire 20s were just work. No real relationships, no time for anything else. Back at their building, they paused in the hallway between their apartments. Lily had already gone inside to get ready for bed. Thank you for dinner, Finn said, and for intimidating our landlord. Zara laughed. My pleasure, on both counts. She hesitated. I should have some plants sitting instructions for the extended trip. Would you like to come by tomorrow evening to go over them? Sure, he agreed, trying to ignore the flutter of anticipation he felt. Over the next week, their interactions developed a comfortable rhythm. Each evening after watering the plants, Finn would text Zara an update. She would reply, often with questions about his job search or Lily's day. Twice more they shared meals. Once when Zara brought takeout to their apartment as the plumber fixed the ceiling. And again when she invited them to dinner after Finn helped her assemble a new bookshelf. With each conversation, Finn found himself more drawn to her, not to the powerful CEO, but to the woman who spoke passionately about environmental innovation, who listened attentively to Lily's stories, who admitted to feeling lonely in her success. For her part, Zara seemed to relax more around them, shedding the polished exterior he'd first seen. She began joining them for movie nights with Lily, bringing fancy popcorn and sitting cross-legged on their worn carpet, laughing at animated characters. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed, they sat talking on his small balcony. I have a confession, Zara said, looking out at the city lights. I could have gone back to my business trip days ago. Oh, Finn tried to keep his voice neutral. I told my team I needed to work remotely for a while. The truth is, I've enjoyed being here spending time with you and Lily. It's been refreshing. We've enjoyed having you around too. She turned to face him, her expression suddenly vulnerable. In my world, people always want something. Access investment connections. It's rare to spend time with someone who doesn't care about my company or my net worth. Well, I did care about the $100, he joked. She laughed. Fair enough. Zara, he said, his tone growing serious, why do you live in this building? You could afford a penthouse somewhere. She was quiet for a moment. After 5 years of nonstop work, I realized I had everything I thought I wanted, but I wasn't happy. I was living in this massive house, completely alone, surrounded by things I'd bought to impress people I didn't even like. She shrugged. I decided to simplify. Sold the house, rented a normal apartment, tried to reconnect with who I was before the business consumed everything. And the plants? My dad was a botanist. Growing things was his passion. After he died, I focused completely on building my company his environmental values, but my business approach. The plants are my way of keeping part of him with me. Without thinking, Finn reached across and took her hand. She looked surprised but didn't pull away. I understand, he said quietly. After Emily died, all I had was Lily and the need to keep going for her sake. Some days that's still all that gets me out of bed. Zara's fingers tightened around his. You're a wonderful father, Finn. I'm trying to be, he paused. Emily would have liked you. She valued authenticity above all else. The air between them seemed to shift, charged with something neither was ready to name. Finally, Zara gently withdrew her hand. It's getting late, I should go. As she stood to leave, Finn felt a pang of disappointment. Good night, Zara. The next morning, Finn received a call from a construction company. They had an immediate opening for a project manager on a commercial renovation, a position that would mean stability, benefits, and regular hours compatible with Lily's school schedule. When he arrived for the interview, he was shocked to find himself at the headquarters of Ecosphere Technologies. The receptionist directed him to a conference room where Zara sat alongside an older man introduced as the construction director. What is this? Finn asked when the director stepped out momentarily. An interview, Zara replied calmly. For a real position we actually need to fill. Did you arrange this because you feel sorry for me? Her expression hardened. I arranged it because you're qualified, and we need someone with your experience. Your resume speaks for itself. The fact that I know you personally just means I can vouch for your character. The director returned, and the interview proceeded professionally. Finn found himself engaged by the project retrofitting an older building with cutting-edge energy solutions, and impressed by the comprehensive questions about his experience. By the end, he felt confident he'd represented himself well, regardless of his connection to Zara. As he prepared to leave, the director shook his hand. We'll be in touch soon, Mr. Porter. Very impressive background. When they were alone again, Zara's professional demeanor softened. I should have told you the job was with my company. I'm sorry. It's okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Finn, she hesitated, if you get the job and that decision isn't mine alone, it won't change. This. She gestured vaguely between them. This, our friendship, or whatever this is becoming. The acknowledgement hung between them, neither quite ready to define it further. 3 days later, Finn received the job offer, a salary beyond what he'd hoped for, with benefits that would provide security for Lily. That evening, he and Lily brought a homemade cake to Zara's apartment to celebrate. Daddy's going to build green buildings like you. Lily announced proudly as Zara let them in. Is that right? Zara smiled at Finn. I accepted the position today, he confirmed, though I'll be doing the construction part, not the innovation like you. Both are equally important. She ushered them in, where they found her dining table already set for dinner. I thought we might be celebrating tonight. As they ate, Lily chattered excitedly about how her dad would be saving the planet in his new job. After dinner, Zara surprised Lily with a small potted plant, a baby monstera. Your very own to take care of, she told the delighted child. Later, when Lily had fallen asleep on Zara's couch, Finn and Zara stood in her kitchen, washing dishes side by side. You didn't have to do all this, he said. I wanted to. She handed him a plate to dry. "Finn, I need to tell you something." He set down the towel, suddenly nervous. "What is it?" "When I first came back and saw how you'd cared for my monstera, something precious to me, it affected me more than I expected. And then seeing you with Lily, the way you've built your life around giving her stability despite your own struggles." She took a deep breath. "The truth is, I've spent years building a company based on my father's values, but I've been missing the most important thing he taught me, that success means nothing without people to share it with." Finn stepped closer. "And what are you saying?" "I'm saying I didn't extend my trip for work. I extended it because being around you and Lily made me happier than I've been in years." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I'm saying I'm falling for you, Finn Porter, and it terrifies me because I don't know how to balance this with everything else in my life." Finn gently took her face in his hands. "Maybe you don't have to figure it all out at once. Maybe we just take it one day at a time." When he kissed her, it felt like the most natural thing in the world, as if all the unexpected turns that had brought them together had been leading to this moment. 6 months later, Finn stood in Zara's apartment, now their apartment surrounded by moving boxes and twice as many plants. Lily raced from room to room, excited about having a bigger bedroom and a balcony where they could grow vegetables. "Are you sure about this?" Finn asked Zara as she directed the movers with his bookshelf. "Your place was perfect for you. And now it'll be perfect for us," she replied, sliding her arms around his waist. "Besides, the commute to work together is unbeatable." The past months had brought changes neither could have predicted. Finn's position at Ecosphere had evolved into heading a new division focused on affordable green housing. Zara had restructured her leadership team to create more balance in her life, discovering that delegating actually improved the company's performance. Most importantly, they had built something neither had expected to find a family. Lily had blossomed with Zara's influence, developing an interest in science and a confidence that delighted Finn. Zara had discovered the joy of being part of a child's life, of weekend pancakes and bedtime stories, of love that didn't depend on quarterly profits. That evening, after Lily was asleep in her new room, Finn and Zara stood on their balcony, where the monstera that had brought them together now thrived in a larger pot. "I have something for you," Zara said, handing him a small, wrapped package. Inside, he found a first edition of The Giving Tree. "Read the inscription," she urged. On the inside cover, in careful handwriting, were the words, "To Finn and Lily, thank you for teaching me that the greatest success is loving and being loved in return. All my heart, Zara." "It's perfect," he said, pulling her close. "Just like the unlikely way we found each other. Who would have thought plant sitting could change everything?" She murmured against his chest. "I'm just glad I didn't kill that monstera." Zara laughed, the sound warming him from within. "So am I. So am I." As they stood together under the stars, surrounded by the life they were building, Finn marveled at how his greatest struggle had led to his greatest joy, a CEO who had everything but discovered she needed the love of a single dad and his daughter to make her life complete, and a struggling father who found that sometimes taking care of someone else's treasures leads to finding your own.